Hi, my name is Rob Renfroe. I am the president of Good News, and I'd like to talk with you about some very important matters that are coming before General Conference. I know that many of you watching are delegates, and I want to begin by saying thank you for serving Christ and His church in such a significant and sacrificial way. Many of us are praying that God will give you the wisdom, the stamina, and the strength that you're going to need. The two issues I'd like to talk with you about are Rule 44 and a third way. Rule 44. This is a new process being proposed by the Commission on General Conference to help delegates navigate through some of the most difficult and controversial issues that General Conference will face. Issues regarding sexuality and marriage. The idea here is to create a process that will lower the acrimony and increase the sense of unity. And I want to commend the Commission for trying to find a process that will do that. I wish that I could affirm Rule 44, but I can't. It is a very complicated and convoluted process. It's very difficult to understand or even to follow. But it does three things, bottom line. First, it would have General Conference suspend Robert's Rules of Order. Secondly, it would set aside all of the good work that many petitioners all over the world have done to create proposed legislation for the conference to consider. And then finally, it would invest a very small group of individuals with great authority to determine what could come before the conference regarding marriage and sexuality and what could be voted on. Now, I'm not alone in this perception of Rule 44. Dr. David Watson, New Testament professor and academic dean at United Theological Seminary, has written a great article titled Rule 44, Band-Aids and Heart Transplants. I want to encourage you to go to the United Methodist Reporter's website, find that article and read it carefully. You'll find it very helpful. In that article, he refers to Rule 44 as complicated and cumbersome. He also writes, Rule 44 would place considerable power in the hands of a few people. And who are those few people? They are the members of the Executive Committee of the Commission on General Conference. There's another group that will have great power. They're known as the Facilitation Group. They will be the ones actually deciding what matters General Conference delegates can consider and vote on. But who selects them? Who is the group that determines which persons may be elected to that Facilitation Group? The Executive Committee of the Commission on General Conference. That's right. The very people proposing that we change the process are also proposing that they be the ones to control the process. If you're like I am, you know that we have already too many misunderstandings, too many misconceptions, too much speculation about everything that goes on behind closed doors in determining the agenda of General Conference. We don't need more misgivings. We don't need a process that is less transparent. We don't need the specter of wondering, is there a small group that is somehow controlling, maybe even manipulating the process and what delegates can actually consider? If Rule 44 is meant to help us have a more open, transparent, collegial General Conference, this is a very strange way of getting us there. Another critic of Rule 44 is a lay delegate from the North Georgia Annual Conference, Matthew Pinson of Emory University. He's written a very insightful position paper regarding Rule 44. And in it he states, and I quote, Rule 44 is a distortion of how we as Methodists should understand Christian conferencing. Later in the article, he states, the General Conference of the United Methodist Church has a clear process for reviewing and acting on proposed amendments to the Book of Discipline, the Book of Resolutions, and other matters within its purview. Such process should not be disrupted by a parallel decision-making procedure of any kind. Faithful United Methodists all over the world have worked diligently to create petitions that they believed are worthy of the consideration of General Conference. And our promise to them was that these petitions would be considered carefully, prayerfully, diligently. And now, a very small group of people would have us disregard all of that work and break the commitment that we've made to these petitioners that their work would be given due consideration. I can't feel good about that. I don't know how anyone can. I hope that you will vote against Rule 44. Now, for a third way. This is a proposal being sponsored by the Connectional Table that hopes to resolve our differences regarding sexuality and marriage by allowing every United Methodist pastor to determine whether she or he will perform same-gender weddings, and by empowering every annual conference to decide if it will ordain practicing gay persons. I know this proposal is well-intended, and I know that we're all looking for a way to keep the church united and at the same time allow every United Methodist pastor, parishioner, and local congregation to be true to their deeply held convictions. But I am convinced that this proposal, a third way, will do just the opposite, and many United Methodists are. I am a traditionalist. If you prefer the word conservative, I'm fine with that. But that doesn't mean I can't respect my progressive brothers and sisters and their ideas. And many of their voices have been even louder and more critical of a third way than mine. They have made it very clear that what they want is not a compromise. Their ultimate goal is to have a United Methodist Church where every annual conference is forced to ordain openly gay persons, and where every United Methodist minister is required to perform same-sex marriages. Why? Because justice demands it. A third way in their mind is justice delayed, and justice delayed is justice denied. Dr. Dorothy Benz, one of the leaders of Methodist in New Directions, a progressive group within the New York Annual Conference, criticizing a plan very similar to a third way, said that it does not create, quote, genuine conditions of equality. And she went on to say that on this issue there is, quote, no neutrality. Our progressive friends want a United Methodist Church that has one position regarding sexuality, theirs. And they will continue to lobby, to work, and to fight until the United Methodist position is their position. Now, I don't fault my progressive friends for wanting their position to prevail. I understand why they feel the need to fight for these things. All I want to make certain of is this, that voting for a third way will not resolve our differences. It will not create unity, and it will not put the church at peace. In fact, I'm convinced it will do just the opposite. Once we change 2,000 years of Christian teaching regarding marriage and sexuality, we're going to find that many traditional United Methodists can no longer stay within a denomination that they believe has broken with the clear teachings of God's Word. Now, we've already seen this play out in many other denominations. When a proposal similar to a third way was passed in the Episcopal Church, in the Presbyterian Church USA, and in the Evangelical Lutheran Church of America, the results were swift and dramatic. Many of their members began to leave their congregations. Membership and attendance declined rapidly. Churches became embroiled in costly and lengthy litigation, and ultimately many congregations found a way to leave the denomination. I think it's fair to say that every one of those denominations has experienced a real schism. And church analysts believe that the very same thing will happen in the United Methodist Church if we pass a third way. We are all looking for a way out of the morass that we find ourselves in. And a quick read of a third way may make it seem to be that way out, but I can assure you it is not. Rather than bringing us peace and creating unity, it will only exacerbate our divisions. It will only increase our decline. And ultimately, it will embroil us and our congregations in many years of emotional, painful, and costly litigation. There has got to be a better way. These are difficult times for the United Methodist Church, and there are no easy answers. I ask you to join me in praying for the church we love. Pray for our bishops, pray for our church leaders, pray for our delegates to General Conference, that God will give them the wisdom and the strength to do what it takes to keep our church united and to keep our church founded on the truth of what God has revealed in His holy word. Thank you for listening. God bless you.